So a lot of people have been saying that this season is very reminiscent of Russell T Davies' first season of Doctor Who 2005. And if you remember the Eccleston season, it was sort of a spotty hit or miss. There were some brilliant moments, there were some boring moments, there were some ups and downs and whatnot. It was really rocky. I felt like the RTD era got into its stride after David Tennant came in, and then onward through Moffat and whatnot and all the others. So the episode isn't bad, but it's not good, and we'll get into it. The acting is brilliant. I need to tell you that right now. It's brilliant. But I don't look at these things just for acting. I look at it all the way across the road. And we're going to get into all of that right now. What's up, my know-it-alls? Okay, so I've just finished watching. It was my wife's birthday yesterday, Mrs. Know-it-all, and we had friends and family over and whatnot, so I didn't get to see the episodes. I watched it this morning, first thing, waking up, and now I'm putting thoughts and words to tape, if you will. The episode is called 73 Yards, and technically it's the midway point. And I still don't feel like we've gotten much. So I guess by this point in most other seasons, in the episode when it comes to Rose, for instance, I felt like at this point, I knew who Rose was and what that relationship was. I felt like when it came to, heck, even Martha, at this point, I knew what was going on and I knew who they were and I understood the dynamic they were dealing with. Then you get into things like Donna, and I knew exactly what she was, and I knew who she was, and I understood what they by this point. Moving on to obviously, you've got Amelia Pond and whatnot. Same thing. I knew who they were. I understood what we were doing, and the exact same thing with Clara. I kind of it was hit or miss for me during the Jodie Whittaker era. So I like Billy. I knew when it came to Peter Capaldi's doctor, I understood who she was. I understood what was going on. Same thing with this. I don't know why, but this entire season, while leaps and bounds and head and shoulders better than anything we had gotten from Chibnall during the Jodie Whittaker era, which is really sad because Jodie, again, as I've said many times, I thought was a brilliant doctor in her own right, but she was just given bad writing. So by this point, again, I don't know enough about what's going on. There's too many question marks. He's doubled down a little too much on this whole thing because, to be frank, I have no idea what this episode was about. I just watched it. I'm going to watch it again later with my wife when she wakes up, and we're gonna because I want her opinion because, again, the performances are really good. Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday is doing brilliant work. Everyone's doing brilliant work. Seeing Unit and everything else and all the other characters, everybody's doing good work. I feel like the show went off the rails after they got to Cardiff. Okay, so let me get into it. Let me just get into it. Forget it. Sorry, I'm getting all over the road. The episode starts with the Doctor and Ruby arriving in Wales, specifically, and they're on a cliff facing the water and whatnot. The Doctor's all excited. He steps on what you later on find out is a fairy circle, whatever that means. Steps on it, and we see, and Ruby's like, oh yeah, this and that. She picks up a paper, reads one of the scrolls that's tied up in the thing, and then the camera pans to her, pans back. The Doctor's gone.
Bless him, eh? Looks like some sort of memorial. All right, don't be doing that to me.
Last time we see him for the entire episode until the very, very, very end. So if you're, once again, if you're hoping for an episode that focuses on the Doctor and has the Doctor doing doctory things, I still have no clue who Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor is. Because I'm sorry, so far, everything I've seen has been mirrors of previous Doctors. I've seen Ncuti Gatwa as doing his best David Tennant impression. I've seen him doing his best Peter Capaldi impression. I've seen him doing his best Matt Smith impression. And by that, I just mean the dialogue and the words and the lines and things that are being put in his mouth are all sound similar. I have yet to really feel, don't get me wrong, he's got mannerisms and affectations that are his own, the way he talks and stuff like that. But I don't know who he is. I don't know who Ruby is. So for him to be gone for most of this episode, I'm like, what show am I watching? So in essence, Ruby, she looks around, she sees what looks like a woman who's on a cliff, who's not far away under a tree, whatever, who's making these like hand gestury type things. I kind of pegged it almost immediately. Spoilers, and you should know what my show is by now. It's Ruby in the future, but you don't literally find that out to the final moment. By the way, I will say I was wrong about Mrs. Flood being Ruby in the future, because they don't look anything alike. And as the two old ladies who play them, wonderful elderly actors, there's not the same person. So that's fine. As Ruby's walking back, you see the same actress who played the ambulance digital AI face last week is the same actor who plays a lady who's hiking on a cliff this week. And she says, "Can you go tell my friend this and that?" And the lady goes over, talks to the lady who's gesturing toward Ruby, and immediately goes mad and runs away. So Ruby's like, "What's going on?" And so every time she walks away, you find out throughout the episode, hence where it gets its name, that the apparition lady, we're going to call her, is 73 yards away, exactly, to the T. So Ruby tries to stay in this, she stays in this Cardiff place, she goes back and visits, she can't get back inside the TARDIS at all, for whatever reason. The Welsh people make fun of her, and they kind of have fun at her expense. She stays there for about a week or two or whatever, and she's constantly going back to the TARDIS. And so finally, and everyone who ever talks to that lady runs away. Ruby goes home, takes the train. On the train, she notices every time she's like, you know how you can look at a movie for a minute and follow it for a second? There's the lady. There's the lady. There's the lady. It's there, constant. And so you get this feeling that, okay, so they're building this mystery. Now, by the way, this episode was the most interesting while it was in Cardiff. Or while it was in Wales, rather. I keep saying Cardiff because to me, Cardiff and Wales are indelibly linked, and that's like the only place in Wales, which is not true. So in Wales, I feel like there was mystery to be had there. It mystery along the lines of the Hound of the Baskervilles or any of the other number of, dark type mysteries that have happened and whatnot. And so you get this, so I felt like that, I was like, oh, okay, cool, we're going to find something out, blah, 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 whatever else. You don't. She goes home. Her mom is there, she explains to her mom what's going on, and her mom goes over to talk to the lady, and she's like, I got my phone on me, this and that, whatever else. And Ruby, next thing you know, her mother runs away from her. Finally, she keeps going home, they change the locks on her, and her mother won't let her in. And she's disowned her, she puts an injunction against her to keep her away from her house, the whole bit. We still don't know what's being said or what's going on. Not at all. They give us nothing. We then jump to a little bit further along the line, and you see that and she gets a hold of Kate Lethbridge Stewart, head of unit. Wonderful to see Kate. They're talking, they're this and that, and next thing you know, boom, she's like, go, engage, and this and that, bring her in, don't talk to her, don't look her in the eye. It's like my people have training in mental, whatever, the psychic attacks and the whole 9 yards. But sure enough, the unit agents go to apprehend the lady. After a while, they stop and look, and they leave. Through the earpiece, Kate also leaves. They disengage, they leave, and they turn their back on Ruby. Nobody wants to talk to her about anything. So then we follow Ruby. It's 10 years later, 20 years later, 40 years later, after everything. And Ruby is older. She's gone through breakup after breakup, and they're all like, oh, I feel like you're distracted. I don't understand this and that, blah, blah. Then she sees she's a promo. But back up. When the Doctor first steps out of the TARDIS, he's talking about, oh, Wales, it's great, it's wonderful, this and that. He's like, oh, except for this guy, Roger Ap Gwilliam.
Roger Ap William. That's a bad example of the Welsh. Terrifying. The most dangerous prime minister in history.
And he's like, wait a minute, what year are you from? And she's like, oh, I'm 2024. He's like, oh, sorry. Okay, spoilers. Never mind. Forget I said that. We now arrive at 2046. Ruby sees the guy and she assumes I'm supposed to save the world. So I immediately think, oh my gosh, she's going to kill this guy. Somehow in her head, she's built up in her head. If she kills this guy, everything will go back to normal. That's what the old lady's there for. Okay. She gets a job working for the guy. You find out he's a horrible person. And when she goes, he's about to do his acceptance speech. He's accepting nuclear weapons from Pakistan because he wants to make Great Britain a nuclear power and literally disengage us disengage them from NATO and the UN. And so she walks on the pitch, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, she's going to kill him. She's going to kill him. She's going to die. It's going to wake up. Whatever. It's going to reset things. Who knows? She has her phone. She measures out. She makes sure the lady's standing where she's supposed to be standing. And she measures out 73 yards until the lady is standing right next to Roger Epquilliam. He notices and runs away. Ruby has saved the world. Nothing changes. She's an old lady. Goes back to visit the TARDIS one last time as people keep bringing it flowers and she's got to kind of explain to her orderly helper person. Anyway, finally, she finally is on her deathbed. And you see the old lady and the old lady then she's realizing, and then she becomes the old lady. And now she's there and she sees them coming out and somehow changes events so the doctor doesn't step on the fairy circle. And when she goes to open the scroll, the doctor's like, no, don't do that. Have respect, this and that. And they survive. And everything that we just saw didn't happen. Did you hear any conclusion come out of my mouth just now? Any resolution come out of my mouth just now? The acting was wonderful. The effects were wonderful. Everything was hitting on all cylinders, except there was no ending. Not a satisfying one. Not one that makes any sense. And they keep leaning on this supernatural thing, but to me, that's a cop-out. That is 100% a writing cop-out. Oh, we're going to start investigating more supernatural things because I love supernatural things. That's what Russell Davies said in an interview. That doesn't mean the rules of telling a good story change, my friend. What have you done? Again, a brilliant episode that can stand alongside Midnight and other really creepy ones and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you don't stick the landing. I don't know what happened. I guess we're supposed to assume, oh, it was a supernatural event and that's it. But you don't tell me that. Torchwood, at least when it gave you the episode of with fairies that were sort of, they took your children and stole them away or whatever else to make fairies out of them, at least it gave you a resolution. You understood it. Even if it was a tough resolution, you got it. This took us on a wild goose chase, showed us a red herring of an adventure, and then resolves itself by nothing. Because if the old lady is her from the future, then she clearly tried once before to stop this thing from happening, which we don't know why. We don't know why she's in this predicament. We don't understand anything about having to do with how this whole thing worked. If it had to do, you end with more questions than answers, and it's not a good thing. I don't understand it. I don't understand what we're doing. Again, brilliant acting. Everything else was good. Hell, the writing was brilliant until the ending tells you nothing. So I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, and I'm not. There you go. Now you know. If nobody's after the battle, you have to know it all yourself. What's an all index for this episode for me? I'm telling you right now. I don't know what's It was good until it wasn't. This barely ekes out a half point higher than the other one last week. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. So comment below. Give me your thoughts. What do you think is going on? And I'm not accepting that hashtag RIP Doctor Who. That's stupid. Stop it. These are real show issues, fan issues, writing issues. This is not hateration, none of that stuff. So don't do that. There's nothing to do with Ncuti Gatwa. This isn't woke. This isn't because he's black. You know what it's about? He wasn't there. So I saw nothing of Doctor in Doctor Who. Millie Gibson's given a wonderful episode to act in, and you give me no resolution at the end. It was extraordinarily unsatisfying, which made me unhappy. So what are we watching? What has happened? And we have like 2 episodes left or whatever, some nonsense. We have almost like, what's left? All right, guys, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this whole thing. Are you as disappointed as I am? Again, for the right reasons. But anyways, yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Do me a favor, click that playlist right there if you want to get caught up on all the episodes. That's last week's episode, which also disappointed me. Subscribe right over there. But all right, guys, until next week, never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all.